Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be looking at an artist called Undead Papi. Now, never heard of him, don't even know what kind of music it is. I tried to do a little bit of research, but I didn't really find very much. In fact, I found so little, it's unreal. All I found is Undead Papi is an American musician and songwriter from Milwaukee. Setting himself apart from the crowd, Undead has broadcast his unorthodox style and immense creativity through his tracks, often experimenting with different sounds and fusing different genres. And that is all I found. Now, I've had this track suggested to me quite a few times now, actually. People have asked me to look at Rob Zombie, and the only reason I seem to have audibly eye-rolled there is because it's not spelt Rob Zombie, it's R6b Z6mbie, which makes absolutely no sense because 6 looks absolutely nothing like an O. Looks more like a B. You know, you could have done R6ZOM6IE and that would have made a little bit more sense, but I also hate it when people use numbers unnecessarily to replace letters. It's pointless and it just looks ridiculous. You know, it annoys me. Text slang annoys me, that sort of thing. I cannot stand it, and it really gets my goat. Anyway, that's not the point. So yes, this is a track called Rob Zombie, allegedly, and it doesn't appear to be a very long song. I think it's about 1 minute 46, so this is going to be a fairly short video, I imagine. And yeah, I've got the lyrics up here. Don't know what sort of music it's going to be, so we'll find out. So, Rob Zombie by Undead Papi. Let's have a look.
I'm riding in a Dracula. Stop acting, you come and count Dracula. Plan it out, no escape is immaculate. Shoot it out, just make sure that it's accurate. I'm riding in a Dracula. Stop acting, you come and count Dracula. Plan it out, no escape is immaculate. Shoot it out, just make sure that it's accurate. Rob Zombie, I pull up in a big whip. Let the grab on my shirt as a big drip. There's no one dead, church of 2-6. Metalhead, that's my fucking thing. Cold paint on my face, niggas know I trip. Got a drum fully loaded with a big grip. Got a bag full of mags and extended clip. Put us all on 20 niggas down. Got Satan on my back, machete on my head. Hearts of thousand course, that's my fucking grip. MK with your cross, that's how I live. Running from the big stop, catch a slip. No mercy, I just fucking forget. Crawling to your grave with a toilet. Coughing up blood with your broke red. Hacking at your body, but you won't live. Let that pussy ride and leave him off dead. Looking in my eyes, still heartless. Fucking type of nigga, leave you harmless. Grew up, gone by the darkness.
And there we go. That was that. Undead Papi, Rob Zombie. Like I said, it was a very, very short track. I am wholly unimpressed and uninspired by this. When I read through the lyrics, it sounds like someone who's trying so hard to be edgy. You know, it sounds like he's trying too hard to be edgy. Now, this is just my personal opinion. I know some people will like this, but I can honestly say, not a fan. I mean, it's interesting what he's trying to go for. You know, mixture of different styles of music. I mean, I will say that his actual vocal style is fairly okay. You know, he's pretty good. And, you know, mixing the style of music and vocals together is interesting. But the actual track itself, it's like he just sort of shoehorned the name Rob Zombie in there unnecessarily, just because he has the word Dragula in there, which isn't an exclusively Rob Zombie term. He's just going by the name of one of Rob Zombie's songs. A Dragula is like a converted car. I can't remember the exact terminology for it. It's here somewhere. A Dragula is a car that is a Hertz coffin or any other sort of thing associated with death that is modified to run as a muscle car. So like using something like a hearse or something that's modified to be a drag car. It's not an exclusively Rob Zombie term. So he's just sort of thrown Rob Zombie's name in there 2 or 3 times just for the sheer sake of it, just because he's used that one word. But like I said, the rest of the lyrics, they're a bit... It's like he's trying too hard, like I said. And there aren't many lyrics, obviously, as the song was very short. It goes, Rob Zombie, I'm riding in a Dragula, sharp fangs N-word, call me Count Dracula. Planned it out, now my scheme is immaculate. Shoot it out, just make sure that it's accurate. And he repeats those 4 lines twice. Then it goes into the main part of the song, if you will. Rob Zombie, I pull up in a big whip. Pentagram on my shirt, now that's a big drip. N-words, no. Undead, draped in 666. Ghetto Metalhead, that's my fit. Corpse paint on my face, N-words, no I trip. Got a drum fully loaded with a big grip. Got a bag full of mags, that's extended clip. Pull up solo, 20 N-words dip. Got Satan on my back, machete on my hip. House of 1,000 corpses, that's my crib. Ed Gein with your corpse, that's how I live. Running from the beast, I'll catch you slip. No mercy, I ain't Jesus, the is forgive. Crawling to your grave with a torn limb, coughing up blood with your broken rib. Hack at your body, bet you won't live. Leave that pussy rotting, leave them all stiff. Look in my eyes, see I'm heartless. That type of N-word leave you armless. Grew up cold, bathed in darkness. And that's it. And there's so many things in there that just sort of, it sort of gives me the impression that he's just trying so hard to be edgy and sort of trying to sound cool by inserting all of these references in there, that it's just like he's trying too hard. Pentagram on my shirt, that's the big drip. Now, as I understand it, if something's the big drip, it's fashionable, it's cool, it's the latest trend. That's what I understand. So pentagram on my shirt, that's the big drip. And that just makes me think of all these sort of people who listen to like chart music, all these sort of people who listen to dance techno and whatnot, who go around wearing things like Motorhead shirts because it's now a fashion statement, rather than showing like love for a band or something like that. They're just wearing it to be fashionable, and that's something that really pisses me off, because for years people like myself, many friends that I've had, we'd go around wearing a band shirt and we'd get insults thrown at us, we'd get beaten up just purely because we listened to heavy metal by these very same people who now are walking around wearing these shirts as a fashion statement rather than their appreciation for the band that, they are essentially advertising. So he's saying, I'm wearing a pentagram on my shirt because it's the fashionable thing to do, and that just... And then, of course, the next line is N-words, no undead, draped in 666. So, oh my god, he's talking about 666, the number of the beast. Oh my god, how edgy. Ghetto Metalhead. That's my fit. So, he's saying he's a ghetto metalhead. What the hell is one of those? Just because you might appreciate metal and, you listen to, obviously, hip-hop and stuff like that, doesn't make you a ghetto metalhead, does it? Corpse paint on my face, oh my god, he's wearing corpse paint as well, so he must be into black metal, he must be into death metal, he must be into industrial metal, he must be so cool because he's got corpse paint on. And then he has to go on talking about having a bag full of ammunition, talking about going around shooting people, and that's... I don't like to be stereotypical here, but that is a predominantly hip-hop genre sort of thing. That sort of thing doesn't really happen in sort of heavy metal circles. That sort of thing happens more in sort of hip-hop era. And, you know, there was no need for that. And then he goes, Satan on my back, machete on my hip. So, again, not only is he trying to be cool by talking about the fact he's got Satan on his back, he's talking about having big weapons on him, you know. And this is one of the things that gives metal a bad name. So many people associate metal with Satan and violence, and that is just not true. You know, and that sort of thing, again, really annoys me. You find more violence associated with things like hip-hop and rap than you do with heavy metal. Sure, there are times heavy metal can be associated with violence. I mean, you know, look at Varg, you know, stabbing, what's his name, in the head, but that was years and years and years ago. It's very rare that you hear anything about metal bands being responsible for violence or metal fans being responsible for violence. You know, and just saying things like that, Satan on my back, machete on my hip, it's just, again, adding to that rubbish, that, you know, adding fuel to the fire of people thinking that heavy metal is inherently violent, satanic, and just bad and wrong and evil. And, you know, it's just not that way. House of a Thousand Corpses, that's my crib. Again, that's another reference to Rob Zombie, because he did House of a Thousand Corpses as a film, and it's also a song of his. Ed Gein, With Your Corpse, that's How I Live. Well, Ed Gein, he used to make clothes out of people's flesh, so that's what he's talking about there. You know, it comes across that he's trying too hard to be edgy, and, you know, I always say I won't judge an artist just by one track, so I'll have to revisit him again at some point, but just from this track itself, he's trying too hard to be edgy, and he's sort of adding to the cliche. He's making the whole cliche worse, that people who listen to metal are inherently violent, satanic, and sort of thing like that. You know, I don't like the message that this song is bringing across. I mean, it's clearly not a very deep song at all. I don't like the way he's done the song. You know, like I said, his vocal style is pretty good. You know, I don't mind it. And the fact that he's sort of clashing 2 or 3 or 4 genres of music together to make an interesting sound, I don't mind that. But it's the actual track itself I don't agree with. You know, it's not something I'd go out of my way to listen to either. But, you know, no. I mean, maybe if the actual lyrics were a bit more, a little bit less sort of trying to be edgy sort of thing, you know, if he wasn't trying so hard to put in things like the 666 and being a metalhead and the corpse paint and the fact that he's got loads of guns he wants to go out and shoot people, the fact that he's got Satan on his back and a machete that he wants to go around starting murdering people, you know, if he didn't have that sort of rubbish in there, you know, if it was actually a half-decent written song, you know, I might have actually enjoyed it. But no, this sort of thing really annoys me, because it's painting a bad picture of what heavy metal is, and I don't agree with that at all, because heavy metal gets blamed for so many things. You know, we don't need more sort of things adding to that. So, as a standalone track, if you don't pay attention to the lyrics, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. But once you actually look at the actual song itself, I don't like it at all, because of the way that he's sort of coming across. But there you go. I'm going to leave it at that for the time being. And now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so by all means. Drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or even on my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would help me out a great deal. There is also an option on Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There are a couple of limitations on that, though, to be fair to other people who suggest tracks through regular means, such as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube comments. And if you do suggest a track through those regular means, I know it might take me a while to get around to your suggestions, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that my list of tracks grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it should get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get to it. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes, specifically those aimed towards people of the alternative culture. And it's something I believe in very, very strongly, something I'm very, very passionate about, because it's something that gets very, very widely ignored, but is a very real problem. And that's the fact that people from the alternative community are getting violently attacked just purely for the fact that they are part of the alternative community. You know, whether it's the fact that they listen to alternative music or they're wearing alternative fashion. You know, people are getting violently attacked just for these reasons. You know, and we're not just talking about insults thrown from afar or getting, you know, shoulder rammed as they walk down the street. We're talking about violent crime where people are getting beaten to within an inch of their lives. People are getting hospitalised with broken limbs and sometimes even more life-threatening injuries just purely for the fact that they listen to alternative music or wear alternative fashion. And it's something we never hear about. The last time there was any widespread coverage of this happening was about 13 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people and beaten so severely that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he thankfully survived. He was in a coma for around about a week, maybe a bit longer, I can't remember exactly, but he thankfully survived. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman, 20-year-old woman, was beaten to death just because she was part of the alternative community, just because she was wearing goth clothing. That was it. No other reason. And this happens all the time, but it gets widely ignored. Nothing gets done. You know, on a daily basis we hear about sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred. We hear about these every single day on every media platform available. You know, and we hear from the most heinous of these crimes where someone is murdered because of the colour of their skin or because of their religious beliefs or because of their sexual orientation, and down to the most pathetic of these crimes where entitled white women are calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public space. You know, we hear every facet of these daily, but we're not hearing anything about people that are getting beaten half to death because of their taste in music, you know. And it's something that needs to be addressed, something needs to be done, because it's a very real problem and it goes on all the time. You know, like I said, the last time it was reported on was about 13 years ago, and we've not heard a thing since. But I know for a fact, I know for a fact that similar crimes have been carried out in that time, but we've not heard a single goddamn thing. And the main reason for that is because no one died, and that is unacceptable. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before this subject gets spoken about, before something gets done. And that's what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to bring more attention to the fact that this is happening. They want to get more people talking about this so we can stop it from ever happening again. You know, it's something that never should have happened in the first place, and we most certainly cannot allow it to happen again. Something needs to change, and it, you know, we need more people to be aware that this is happening so we can affect that change. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their main goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands from their web store, you know, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
I'm riding in a Dracula. Stop acting, come and count Dracula. Plan it out, now my scheme is immaculate.